Okay. Well, hi everyone. My name is Katie. I'm a graduate student at Keck Graduate University, and we're studying occupational therapy. I actually came from Cal State San Bernardino, where I studied kinesiology and allied health. So, you guys.
Oh, my name is Caitlin. I'm also in the OTD program. I went to Chico State and I majored in psychology. So that's just a little my background. And now we are at Keck Graduate Institute, and that is in Claremont.
Yes. So we today are going to talk to you guys about what occupational therapy is, what we do, what we're studying. But we do need you guys to start off by taking this little pre-survey for us. So if you could please just scan the QR code, like 2 questions. Just trying to get like a baseline of what your knowledge is. Oh, sure. I'll let you guys take it because I'm going to ask you guys questions. Ideally, as a baseline, if you guys know nothing, that's totally okay. But the more you participate, the more you're going to get out of it. So if you try a little. And you're a freshman and it's scary though, so it's okay. Okay, so this is basically like a challenge that the American Association of Occupational Therapy is sending out to a bunch of grad students, where we go out to different high schools, middle schools, and colleges and kind of talk about OT, the field, what we do, how to become an OT, and kind of what the day-to-day looks like as an OT. So that's our disclaimer that these are unfortunately not my slides, so they're a little bit cringy, so just walk with me, okay? So we just want to start off by asking if anybody kind of knows what occupational therapy is, or if you want to try to give the best summary you can.
Would OT be primarily like under like, for example, like blue collar workers, how they're always like bending over on their knees? So occupational therapy, would that fall under like more so like or catering to that demographic of people?
Yeah, that's awesome. That's one of the demographics we could totally work with. That would be ergonomic setups, or if somebody gets injured in the workplace, we work with a lot of workers' comp type stuff. So that would totally be something we do. Anything else?
Or like fine motor skills.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I was about to say for like pediatrics, you guys help like the children learn like their motor skills and learn how to like use utensils and all that.
Yeah, that's so funny. I feel like that is honestly the stereotype that everybody says. So that's perfect, is like the fine motor skills with kids and then occupation, like job working wise. So that's good. But occupational therapy is actually a lot bigger than that. We work all across the lifespan, basically helping anyone do an occupation. And something we focus on is that optimal life engagement. So when I say occupation, that can mean what you do for fun, what you do, so leisure, play, ADLs, which could be your activities of daily living, like getting ready in the morning, getting in the shower, getting out of bed, making your bed, brushing your teeth, brushing your hair, whatever. Or making you the best you can at work, making you type faster, adaptive equipment so you can function however you need to function. So that kind of covers in terms of some favorite occupations. Like what's something that you guys do for fun? Anything. Okay, awesome.
Playing sports.
Playing sports, nice. Yeah, so something I like to do a lot is outside. I like running, I like weightlifting, I like crafts, like stuff like that. Caitlin likes crafts more than I like crafts, so Caitlin loves crafts. And so imagining if somebody was unable to do that thing, those things are what make our life meaningful. So occupation is basically anything that makes your life meaningful. So for me, being able to put on my makeup is meaningful to me. Being able to do my hair is meaningful to me. Being able to pick an outfit independently, even though this is not killing it, is important to me. And so being unable to do that would then limit that occupational balance. And so imagining if somebody was unable to do that could be through an injury, It could be through being born with a different kind of injury, you know, if we're looking at MS, if we're looking at cerebral palsy, autism, sensory integration disorder, or it could be a TBI or a hip replacement, elbow replacement, anything. If you're unable to engage in that occupation, you could go to an occupational therapist and they could do a variety of things to get you back to whatever that occupation is. So that kind of covers it. Are we understanding what an occupation is? Because that kind of helps us with the rest. Thank you. So yeah, we help you do what you want to do in anything. So some of the fields that we kind of work in is OTs can support parents becoming with like premature infants or just becoming a parent. Those different role changes and shifts, that's something you could go to an OT for. We can also work with NICU babies in terms of working on feeding or different functional movements. We can help people experiencing homelessness and learn how to access community resources. An emerging field in OT right now is working in substance abuse in terms of creating structure in different areas in his life. Support children with autism participate in school. Integrating them into the school system can be something really challenging, especially for a child with autism or physical and mental disabilities on a wide spectrum. And so an OT can help them engage in school optimally. Help somebody using a wheelchair for the first time or from birth. You know, some people are born needing a wheelchair. We can help you get fitted for the wheelchair. That kind of adaptive equipment is something that we really specialize in. And it can come from wheelchair or it can be like utensils, whatever it may be that you need to use in your day. Big thing we do is home health. We'll go into somebody's home, assess the space that they have or the space that they don't have, and kind of make stuff work. So like if your hallway is not wide enough to have a wheelchair, but you can't walk, how are we going to make that work? How are we getting you to the shower? How are we getting you to the kitchen and to function in that space as independently as possible? And like I mentioned, with substance recovery, OT actually started as a mental health field, and we've since expanded to be a mixture of mental, physical health, and overall well-being, looking at the client as a whole person. So substance abuse would come in. And then a huge area of growth for OT right now, and kind of forever, has been the aging in place. Does anybody know what aging in place means? I know it's pretty straightforward. Has anybody heard of that concept? Okay, that's cool. So aging in place is basically keeping people where they want to be for as long as possible. So when somebody gets old, instead of moving them into a retirement home, a skilled nursing facility, so on and so forth, keeping them at home, which is often where they want to be for as long as possible, through discharging adaptive equipment, like I mentioned, having an OT come to your home and visit you, so that way you're able to do what you need to do, getting different caretakers and whatnot in the space. So that way people can stay happy for as long as possible and keep doing what they want to do as long as possible. A lot of research has shown that this keeps people living quality life longer. Because the happier you are, the longer you're going to live. So we work with people all across the lifespan. We can work with newborns, even preemies or pregnant mothers, and all the way through life until even transitional care into hospice. And our whole idea is essentially being holistic. We don't want to just look at the ailment that a person is facing. Our job is to look at the whole person. And when I say look at the whole person, these are the things that I'm covering in terms of cognitive, sensory, environment, social, emotional, physical, and occupations. In terms of cognitive, that can be memory or attention. We can work with somebody with ADHD, or we just finished a clinical rotation with Alzheimer's clients and dementia clients. Sensory integration. This is big with kids right now. We talk about that all the time. If you have a kid with a different sensory issue, which just basically means you receive so much sensory information that you literally can't even sit and focus on what's going on right now, because you can feel your shirt and you can hear him having a lovely snack and you can feel the air pushing on you and you can feel everything, so you can't even focus. Physical, that can be strengthening. I know a lot of people think of PT for this, but OTs definitely work in this field all the time. Ours just tends to be more functional strength, which could be like, instead of getting you to be able to lift 5 pounds, I'm going to get you to be able to lift your hairdryer and bend back so you can do it by yourself. Environment, like I said, in home health, adapting and modifying the environment, getting you adaptive equipment. Connections, we do social groups, making sure people have that social engagement. And emotional, when people get injured, one of the biggest things that's overlooked is somebody's mental health. And if somebody is unable to engage in whatever they're doing or whatever makes them happy, then they're not going to go to therapy, and they're honestly not going to give a shit about what you have to say. So making sure that we take care of the whole person is super important. And this is really cringy, but walk with me. A doctor will save your life, and then an occupational therapist will help you live it. So again, just keeping people meaningful and give them the best life you could possibly give them.
So kind of like Katie mentioned, occupational therapy is in so many different places. And I'm gonna go into what that can kind of look like in these different areas. So if you have any questions along the way, just jot them down, make sure you remember them, and you can ask us more info about them afterwards. Let's do this. Okay, so first we have hospitals. So this is where we can help people who have become sick or injured, getting back to doing what they want to do, like Katie mentioned. A lot of this is going to focus on ADL, so those activities of daily living. So like dressing, bathing, grooming, feeding, toileting, that's a big one too. Horse farms. This one is a little bit more niche and not like as common, but it is still an area of practice. The specific area of practice is known as hippotherapy, and we can use the horse to help with balance, strength, and coordination for those that need it. Schools. So this is actually where I see myself working in the future. School-based settings focus on academics, so getting students doing what they need to do, focusing in an academic setting. So that could look like fine motor skills, like we mentioned earlier, but it can also look like play and leisure, how they're participating with other students, self-care skills, ADLs again, and transition and work skills. Nursing homes is also a important place that we work in. Here we maximize residents' independence, safety, and their quality of life. And so we can help these older adults do fun activities so that they're staying strong and keep doing the things that they love and they want to do. And this would look like a lot of playing games, increasing their social participation, but also learning how to take care of themselves too. Military. So you can become an occupational therapy practitioner while you're in the military, but you can also work with military personnel or with veterans. And I know working with the veteran population is an area that is really needed in occupational therapy right now. So this would look a lot like restoring independence in their daily life after any injury, illness, or any mental health challenges that they may be facing. Home health. Home health is really a cool area too. This is where we get to actually visit people's home and see how they participate in their natural environment. And so we can help improve them do their daily activities in their home setting. So a lot of this would look like assessing their home environment to suggest any changes to make it safer and easier for them to get around. We can also teach them to learn new skills and provide strategies to help people reach their personal goals, such as bathing in their own home, medication management, cooking in their own home, what that actual setting would be like for them. We could also support family members and caregivers with any advice and teaching them how to do certain things to support their family members as well. Outpatient clinics. So this is where we provide one-on-one personalized care, and this could be in its own healthcare facility or in a private clinic as well. And this could span from like pediatrics to adults as well. Basically helping the clients to address specific needs and goals. And this might include physical mobility, enhancing cognitive function, or adapting to changes in daily life due to injury or illness. So as you can see, we're focusing a lot on occupations and what people do every single day. Community-based settings. So this can look like working with people in a community garden or vocational programs, which are like those trade or technical institutes, adult or child daycare, or even parks. So I know Katie mentioned we did our first clinical rotation in a community-based setting, and we were with memory care clients who had Alzheimer's or dementia. And this was like an adult day center that they got dropped off at in the beginning of the day and then picked up at the end of the day. Nature therapy, this is also a really interesting field. We could work outside in nature, which is super cool. Using nature to improve people's participation in meaningful activities like hiking or gardening, and mixing this like with occupational therapy's expertise combined with the calming power of nature really fosters holistic well-being in people of all abilities. Telehealth remote work. So we can use telehealth to provide services to people who can't come into a clinic. Either they're too far away, they don't drive, whatever it is. Having telehealth can provide access to people in a wider range and make occupational therapy services more accessible. Travel therapy, this is also a really popular one. OTs can work for companies that allow them to travel across the United States and work in various settings. So like hospitals, outpatient clinics, schools, really anything you can think of. You're bound to like a 13-week typically contract where you'll work at that setting for 13 weeks, but the time can vary. And depending on what company you're with, they may assist you with the state licensure and like relocation costs if that is needed. So it's a really great way to see the country and get paid while you're doing that. Driving rehabilitation. So we can help people who've had stroke, brain injury, or any other medical condition learn how to drive again. And this is a life-changing service for people who rely on driving for work or independence. And I was actually thinking about this recently. Like, I feel like driving is something that we don't really think about. It's just like something we go do to get to the place that we need to go to. And like, just imagine if you weren't able to drive anymore and get to that place that you needed to go to. So it really is something that is so important for a lot of people, and it's cool that we get to help them do that. Space programs, not gonna lie, I didn't know that we did this. But NASA is looking into occupational therapy to help astronauts maintain their physical and mental health on long duration space missions. So this is a really new and exciting area of OT, and it just shows you how like versatile our profession is. We could really work anywhere. And this is just another long list of places that we could work in. So I'll just read them off. If you have any questions about these, again, you could ask us, but academia, acute care, adult day programs, animal assisted therapy, assistive tech and gaming, assisted living facilities, aquatic therapy, cardiac rehab, correctional facilities, early intervention, ergonomics, ICU, mental health, neonatal intensive care unit, palliative care, pelvic health, primary care, rehab clinics, researcher, skilled nursing facilities, and vision. So occupational therapy practitioners can be clinical practitioners. This is where you're working with clients on a daily basis. Researchers, professors, advocates, entrepreneurs, CEOs, and influencers. And so much more. So where there are people, there is a need for occupational therapy. As you can see, you could work pretty much anywhere with your degree, and so it's needed in a lot of places.
Perfect. Okay. So this likes to review some different qualities of well, first, are there any questions about any of those? I know a lot of people don't know what like acute care, skilled nursing, that type of stuff. Yeah.
What's palliative care?
Palliative care. If you like ask the one hard question, that's really not nice.
That we're not sure.
So no, go for it, Caitlin.
So I don't know a definition off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure it's helping
Really sick people.
Yeah.
yes.
Really
Sick people. No, it's okay. It's really sick people, like getting them comfortable and like helping them do their daily things.
Yeah, it's not like it's slightly worse than like hospice type thing sometimes. And sometimes these people will get better, sometimes they won't, but it's more about comfort and transition.
Yes.
That's a big thing that we work on. In terms of quality of life, again, I said optimal life engagement. If somebody's in that condition, likely their optimal life engagement is going to be lower than somebody living at home. So whatever that looks like for them, we just try to optimize that. It's like a little sad, but it's true, and it's awesome that somebody gets to be there to help them with that. Anyway. Okay, so if there are any other questions. Qualities of an occupational therapy practitioner that they recommend. Definitely a people person. The whole point of your job is like to work with people. You see people all the time. We work in big teams, often in specifically like a hospital setting. You work with a PT, a speech therapist, a surgeon, whatever doctor you may be working with. So a whole lot of communication, a whole lot of collaboration, just to get the optimal care for the client. And then also, of course, the client. Creativity and problem solving. A lot of the times, especially with insurance nowadays, you might not be able to get the optimal object to get the thing done. So kind of working with what you have, working with what's in front of you, maybe while you wait for something to ship or be delivered. Often we literally just talked about this with wheelchairs or adaptive equipment. Wheelchairs take a while to build in terms of measurements and that type of stuff. But if that's your only form of transportation, I want to optimize that for you. So like, what can we do to make that better for you and make the space around you better for you? Communication, again, lots of talking to people. We do lots of notes, lots of paperwork and stuff. So being able to communicate effectively, so you don't get sued and everybody's happy. And a lot of patience. You're teaching people how to redo stuff or do things for the first time. So patience is really important. And that comes with adaptability and flexibility. A lot of times, especially in some of these more intensive settings, you don't know how the person's going to be when you walk in that day. Something that our professors often talk about is when you walk in and your client has already done speech therapy and PT and they've seen the nurse 8 times and they haven't slept at all and they haven't done this. You need to understand that they're probably giving you all that they can for that day. So you need to be able to adapt your care and work with your client. And like I mentioned, collaboration, lots of working with lots of people. And the field is ever changing. Something that our field does that I think PT also does is like a PDU point thing. In order to keep up our license, we have to continue learning and get a certain number of PDU points every year, or every 2 years. And then cultural humility. A big thing that we talk about all the time is if you don't tie your own tie every day, why am I going to teach you to tie your tie again after you have a TBI? Like if that's something that your partner does for you every day, why am I going to teach it to you? If you don't make eggs and you don't like eggs, why am I going to teach you how to make eggs? Those are obviously grossly oversimplified answers to that, but just really keeping the client in mind, keeping in mind what's important to them is the biggest thing here, and making sure we can get them in the best place possible. So I've kind of covered it, but do you guys know, we're gonna differentiate to give you a little hint, what an OT and an OTA is. Does anybody want to guess what the difference between those are? Yeah.
Isn't an OT like someone who helps rehabilitate someone like do, I guess, normal chores like opening a door, walking, stuff of that nature?
Yeah, totally. So in this example, an OT would be the practitioner in the setting. We'd write the goals, we do the evaluation, we would do the paperwork, the intervention and whatnot. So yeah, we basically assist in defining the intervention and enhance the independence of the client. And then an OTA, which is an occupational therapy assistant. Anybody want to guess what they do?
Yes.
Close, yeah. This is like a really niche distinction, but they assist the occupation versus like in other fields, they're not my assistant, they're the occupation's assistant. So I'll write the intervention, but often an OTA might execute the intervention, might give me notes on how the client is doing and make it better. So an occupational therapy assistant works under the supervision of an occupational therapist to implement interventions. Yeah.
Okay. So the pathway to becoming an OT, you first have to complete an undergrad degree. So I got my undergrad degree in psychology. After that, you want to apply to an accredited university. to get a master's or a doctorate. So it's really important that your program you're applying to is accredited, because if you go to an unaccredited institution and go through all those years of schooling, you won't be able to sit for the board exam afterwards. So that's just something to keep in mind. Graduate with said degree, and then afterwards pass the National Occupational Therapy Board exam. So we do take boards at the end of our program, and then that helps us get our license. And we need our license to practice. So some popular undergraduate majors are kinesiology, biology, psychology, exercise physiology, chemistry, health sciences, education, sociology, therapeutic recreation, or any other non-traditional majors like art or theater. So occupational therapy is really cool in the sense that you don't have to major in something specific in order to go into it. You just have to do the prerequisites that are required of the school. So you could do anything really you're interested in while you're in undergrad. And then if you're interested in going to occupational therapy in the future, that'll work.
Just check the prereqs.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes. Okay, let's get that. So how to prepare now, you can start talking to or interviewing occupational therapy practitioners. So you can find OT practitioners by reaching out to advisors at schools that have OT programs. You can ask your advisors in your current institution if they have any connections within occupational therapy. Reaching out to state OT association. So ours for California is the Occupational Therapy Association of California, OTAC. They have really great resources. And then finding settings in your area that you could reach out to. So like clinics, hospitals, schools, anywhere that has occupational therapy practitioners. And then volunteering is a really, really important one. Volunteering in settings where occupational therapy services are provided is super important so that you can witness it and be a part of it. This is a great way to know that if occupational therapy is going to be right for you. I would suggest, even if there isn't an OT, you can volunteer in settings that like you're interested in the populations that they work with. So for example, I volunteered in a inpatient memory care facility. So they didn't have an occupational therapist there, but I wanted to work with that population because most of my background is in pediatrics. So that gave me the opportunity to learn about that population and see if I was interested in doing anything in that setting. So I volunteered, like I said, in that memory care facility, an early intervention clinic, and a school-based, school actually, when applying to schools. Did you volunteer anywhere?
I did. Volunteer hours or observation hours are also required for schools, like to apply for grad school. Different schools have different requirements. I volunteered at an outpatient pediatric unit, and that is where I learned I don't want to work with peds, love them, but I don't want to work with them for the rest of my life. And I also volunteered in a memory care facility. And then I actually worked in an adaptive gym where I worked with different clients with neurological and developmental disabilities to get them functional again. And then I also worked at that same place at like a transitional type of facility where people with primarily Down syndrome and autism transition from high school to different either college programs, living programs, so on and so forth. And we kind of taught them different skills. So there I worked with a CODA, which is an OTA.
Yeah, so like Katie mentioned, there's also observation hours. It will depend on the school that you're applying to. So just make sure you're keeping track of all that because every school is different, which is a lot. But 50 hours is around the average, with some schools being lower or higher. So yeah, I would keep a log. I made an Excel sheet of everywhere that I volunteered or observed at with the time, the date, the hours that I did there. And then I wrote a quick note of what I did in that setting each day, just to look back on if I wanted to. Okay, and then research schools. So like we've mentioned, every school has different requirements. So each school is going to have its own observation hour requirement, its own prerequisite requirements, and they're all going to be different. So I'm a very like organized person, so I like to have like lots of Excel sheets with everything and all their different requirements, and that really helped me when I was applying to OT schools. So if you think that'll help you, I do recommend that as well. So some common prerequisite courses are anatomy and physiology, physics, statistics, developmental psych, bio, psychopathology, sociology or anthropology, kinesiology, and medical terminology. But again, it's going to be different depending on where you apply. I know our school did not require all of these. Some, but not all.
But if you guys stick with, if I know the kinesiology, at least here, allied health program, it works for all the schools I applied for, which was like 8. So you guys are cool. Just get good grades.
You'll also need letters of recommendation, so you could start looking at professors, bosses, supervisors, OT practitioners that you volunteered with. It's a really good one. Coworkers and other professionals. You want to avoid getting any letters of rec from your family or friends, or any high school teachers, just because high school was a while ago now, so they want to look and see what you're currently doing. Then you also need a personal statement or essay. So this is where you're really going to stand out in your application. You're going to explain why you've selected OT as a career and how this degree relates to your immediate and long-term professional goals. So you can share any lived experiences, personal, professional, cultural, or other that have influenced your why in choosing occupational therapy. So like I said, really important for you to stand out. Take your time on it. This isn't like something that you could just do the night before you turn in your application. You want to put work into it. You want to put the effort into it so that the school can see that you want to be here. Okay, yeah. So I said take time and prepare, be creative, make sure you proofread, have everyone in your life read it. They'll find something that you have missed. Make sure you're emphasizing why you're going to make a good OT and why you stand out. And then tie it all together. So like, if you have a great opening statement in the beginning, make sure that ties back in to the end in your conclusion. Avoid being generic and cliche. Please don't plagiarize. I hope we all know that. Or use AI. You want to make sure this is coming from you and you can tell when AI is being used. And then avoid grammatical and spelling errors. And then once you have all of this information, you are going to go to OTCAS, which is our centralized application system. And instead of applying to each individual school, you just submit one application and it sends it to all of those schools for you, which is really, really nice because, like I said, all these schools have different requirements. So it's nice that you only have to do one application. However, depending on the school, they could also require another application. But again, that's just something that you'll have to check once you get there. Also really important to review the dates both on OTCAS and the school's website because sometimes those differ. So just make sure you're checking those in terms of deadlines. And then usually the application cycle opens in July and then runs through the following year. School interviews, some schools require interviews, some don't. Again, just depends. You'll learn in OT that our favorite line is it depends. But yeah, when you're going into a school interview, make sure you research them, make sure you know what they value as a program so that you're coming in prepared. And come prepared with your questions. You're interviewing them as much as they're interviewing you. You want to make sure that that school is going to be a good fit for you as well. And then just as like a common courtesy, you can always email them afterwards, thanking them for your time or for their time, both your times.
Okay. So I know it's a lot, but the good parts about OT that we're getting into, we're expected to see an 11% employment growth rate, which is awesome because I'd really love to get a job after all this. And it is a very financially rewarding career. This is the median salary in all of the US. In California, if you want to stay here, it is higher, so that's awesome. Not that that should be the reason you go into it, obviously, but we all need to make money. And the biggest benefits of a field such as this is just, it's a super rewarding field. Like even being in school, it's been super, super rewarding and I love it. It does provide a good work-life balance. As we've mentioned, you can work in a lot of different places and that does luckily provide a lot of flexibility. So you're able to kind of be a human outside of work in a lot of places. And it's a constantly evolving field. Things are constantly changing. Needs of the people that we treat are constantly changing. And a diverse setting. One thing we did actually want to mention right now is OT is a primarily female-driven, Caucasian-driven field. So there's a huge need. I know we're two white women standing in front of you, so that is ironic. I hear that, but there is a huge need for males in the field, for people of color in the field, and that's super important. Again, we can't treat. Well, we can, and we work really hard to treat diverse people, but the better treatment is going to come for people who look like them. You know, you like learning from people who look like you and have the same cultural background as you. So it's super important. So don't let that turn you away from the field. It is growing. It is shifting. I forget the statistics, so I'm not going to share it so I don't sound like a fool, but there are a lot of changes happening in the field right now, and that's really exciting. These are some lovely TikToks and Instagram reels that they've added. The beauty of OT is it really does change lives, whether it's developing a new skill or relearning a skill that you were previously able to do, and just empowering people to literally live their lives and not be dependent on anyone again. Yeah, making a difference in people's lives. And yeah, try to stay connected. This is the Why Choose OT at, which is the challenge that we're doing today. And yeah, here's our post survey if you guys wouldn't mind taking it. If you have any questions at all, we're totally here for you. Caitlin and I both went to a Cal State for our undergrad and like transitioned to school. What's up?
What is the acceptance rate?
Great question. Lovely OT answer is it totally depends. So I know that some of the schools that I applied for don't release their admission rates. I know like I don't think KDI did. No, USC did. I don't know. So I unfortunately don't. Some websites release it, some don't. So right now there is a big transition. Caitlin and I are both in a doctoral program, but there are some master's programs that do release their acceptance rate, and there are some who choose not to. There was a recent vote on whether or not OT should go to all doctorate, which was going to implement in 2027, but they actually recently voted no on it. So that also changes things. So there are some master's programs that were going to be gotten rid of entirely, but are now thinking of potentially sustaining. So yeah, that's something. If you have any questions about, I'm happy to answer more. But yeah.
So you went through your master's and now you're doing your doctorate?
No. Thank you actually for asking. That's a great question. No, this is an entry-level doctorate program. So for us, it is, they love to say it's a 2.87 year-long program, which if you want to figure that out in days, have fun. But ours is essentially a 3-year program to get a doctorate. We don't have to get a master's before. Some people in our program have gotten a master's before, but it's the same as PT where you don't have to get a master's before. You go straight to the entry-level doctorate. Yes.
I know there's like a lot of different pathways people can take, so like OT, PT, all that. What made you decide on OT?
Yeah, so I would, whenever I get this question, I kind of like think about when I was first introduced into OT. And so my mom's a kindergarten teacher and I would like go into her classroom all the time and help her out. And an occupational therapist came into that classroom and was like, looks like so much fun playing with like, they were like getting beads out of clay and like, you know, making fun crafts and doing all these things. And I was like, what is that? That looks cool. And like, the more I looked into it, the more I felt like it aligned with my values. I always knew I like wanted to help people and like be in a setting like that. But like being a nurse or like med school or anything like that was just like kind of off the table for me. So I love that it's like a holistic profession. I love that we're looking at the entire person and not just like the thing that's ailing them. I was literally just telling you that in the car this morning. We had a guest speaker last night and he was telling us about he had a son with autism, and so he had like an occupational therapist come and help his son. And like it kind of just totally reinforced my why. And just the help that they're able to give not only the person that they're helping, but the family members as well. And I love that. I think it's such a cool profession, and yeah, that was all over the place, but it's just really awesome. We changed a lot of lives.
I think, yeah, for me, the stereotypical answer is you see somebody that you love go through OT. And my younger brothers both have different things going on. And so they both went through OT, and watching them do that was super impactful for me in terms of, one of them is, if I say terms that we don't know, by the way, please tell me. One is super sensory seeking, one's super sensory avoidant. They're identical twins. So them being in a room together and sitting in a room together is impossible. But like, and they were kind of told like, yeah, you'll be able to go through school, maybe community college, but like the rest of that, you know, do whatever. And being able to go to OT and like all of a sudden they can write something legible, and it's literally crazy. And they're both at school getting their degrees right now. And seeing that kind of stuff. I also have a lot of older people in my life. I love old people. And so like I was gonna do PT school originally, and PTs are awesome. We work with them all the time. I totally love them. 100%. But it's just that I really like the idea of getting somebody to do something that they want to do again. Like, if you don't want to walk again, I don't give a shit. Okay, great. Let's get you to be able to sew again. Like, my grandma had a stroke and broke her back and was falling apart, but like what was important to her was getting dressed every morning, because God forbid that woman wear a Nike. Like, so that was important to her. And like an OT being the one to be like, fuck it, let's get dressed. Great, like great. Like you're still getting better. I'm sorry, I shouldn't curse. You're still improving and getting better. And that's what's important. That's what really kind of did it for me. Sorry if I offended it. Anyway, any other questions?
What was the hardest thing for you guys so far?
Oh,
Yeah.
Well, we're still pretty new. We're only in our second semester. But peds girl. So being an adult right now has been difficult for me. But it's also really, really interesting, and like I love that I'm learning this stuff and like gaining this knowledge. But yeah, the classes have been hard, and also like being so focused on school, I'm trying to keep, pretty much, trying to still be human and like have a life outside of school. I think balancing that is the hardest part, but it is possible, and a lot of people do it. So don't let that discourage you, but finding that balance gets a little bit tricky sometimes.
yeah, I think the hardest part for me was kind of in terms of the application process and whatnot. There are lots of like imposter syndrome, that type of stuff. Like, I'll be honest, I got a C in anatomy when I was here, but I just got through OT school and I got a 99% in anatomy, like that type of stuff. So there's different challenges in that way. And then currently just being in school, it's the very stereotypical, it's really busy. I mean, there's just a lot going on, and I never want to say no to anything.
Yeah.
So learning to balance that is sometimes a lot, but it is fun to learn. You learn a lot about yourself. Any questions on, I know you guys are like freshmen, but like grad apps and stuff, if you choose to go to grad school. Undergrad questions also.
I took 3 years off after undergrad before I applied. I don't know if anyone was thinking about that, but I know like a lot of people think that you have to, like, if you're gonna go to grad school, you have to jump right in after undergrad. And you don't. You can take, I actually recommend it because I was able to take a break and like do things that I wanted to do before I like locked in grad school. So yeah, just throwing that out there.
I took a year off to make money.
Yeah, that too.
But
How expensive is the school? Like,
that's another it depends questions. So there are 2 Cal States, if you're thinking of staying in California, that do have programs. I know that Dominguez Hills and Cal State San Jose
Mhm.
are both of them. San Jose only has a master's program.
They both.
I lied. Both of them have both now, a
Yeah.
doctorate and a master's program. And those are the less expensive programs.
Yeah.
Obviously, private school is more expensive, but they also tend to have more money to give. So the more you can go in with previous experience, the better. So it is posted on their website. I'm gonna give you the it depends answers, but it is posted and there's public information. But that is something to consider. Like, I know nobody wants to talk about it, but there were recent things that came out in terms of student loans of OT, PT, speech,
Yeah.
and nursing not being considered professional degrees anymore. And so you cannot take out as big of a loan. So that's definitely something I would consider before going to school.
Isn't it like 20K?
Yeah, I'm 30, no?
Now you just, I believe, have a limit. I'm grandfathered in, so. No, you guys have, there's a limit on how much in total you can take out. So I think it's like $100,000 is your max that you can have out from government loans. That might be a lie.
Was it a year though? I don't know.
And then you can only get a certain amount a year. I think it might be 25 a year.
I just got an email from my program, it's like 20K
Okay.
per year
Yeah,
term.
yeah. I
It
think
might
be-
depend on the program too,
Yeah,
or the field.
yeah. Like I have a brother-in-law school. There's no limits on him, maybe. But
Any other questions?
What did you do here that you felt that helped you the most transition into grad school?
What helped me the most in transitioning to grad school was doing research for sure. I was very lucky that being able to do research here was super awesome. I ran cross country and track and field here, so I was here all the time. So building relationships with my professors was super big for me. Like two of my professors were at my grad party. It's awesome. Love them dearly. I even had Professor Van Wy, who's awesome as well. So building those connections, like I was able to text my professor from college and be like, hey, I have to do this project. Do you have somewhere where I can do it? And building those personal relationships and hearing from them how they did grad school, how they made it work, and really building that personal relationship was super important to me. And then from there, being able to do research with them, I did lots of different conferences and to present my research. And that got me really comfortable and kind of in a space where like, I don't know, you could see that other people were doing this type of stuff. Being able to write your own research paper and try to get it published and whatnot was really important to me. So as cringy as it sounds and everybody says it, literally just getting involved and trying to balance yourself as much as possible. You.
In undergrad, not gonna lie, I didn't really have any help in undergrad. I was like about to graduate like right when COVID was happening, and so I wasn't even on campus. But also I just felt like my school didn't have like knowledge of what occupational therapy is. And so that kind of sucked. Like I had to go and like find help on my own. So I think it's actually really cool that we get to like do things like this and come to schools and like share what OT is, because I didn't have that when I was in undergrad. So that's another reason why I took like some time off before applying too, was that I wanted to like volunteer in as many settings as possible, meet as many OTs as possible in those different settings, and like really reaffirm that this is like what I wanted to do. And so I think I like in total, and this may be overboard, but I think I went to like 4 or 5 different places and like volunteered in all of those different places. But I had to do that because I didn't get help from my school. So that's what I did.
Just definitely
Yeah.
seek out.
Training gives Cal State's a little bit better than
Don't say that. She loves
I
Chico.
love
Dude, this
Chico.
girl's like the
Nearly.
biggest Chico fan you've ever.
All right.
you like peanut butter on your cheeseburger.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. I think it also might have been because I was a psych major.
Yeah.
Maybe if they like, put me with the kines people, I would have had a little bit more. But anyway.
Yeah. So research, getting involved, getting to know the people around you is super helpful. Right. Thanks, guys.
Is this for you guys?
Yeah, did you guys, that's for It's for the big dogs.
Yeah.